I would be afraid to get up and go pee during the show. Fitness is freedom and health is wealth. Cheetah, dark night, wet legs, protruding heart from through my chest. Yeah, I am pushing 50 doing high rocks, like awesome.
I've known you for quite a while, and there's a pretty major contradiction. You're a big, strong human. You do yoga, you do CrossFit, you pound miles on the bike. And to a lot of people, running 100 miles seems like a massive contradiction. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people until it does, right? Explain that. Like, where did this journey come from, and why does this variance in your training? Like, why the 100? Why do all of these things, and now you're plugging it into 100 miles in the Leadville?
Great question. I'm asking myself that almost daily. I started out living my whole life thinking there was a whole bunch of things I couldn't do because of my size. And I kind of categorized myself as like, I'm a lineman, I'm a strong guy, you know, I fit in this box, I fit really well. And I spent a long time trying to find a box to fit in. That was the first one I did fit in. So it felt really comfortable to finally be in a box. And so I leaned into that. And then as I got done playing football, I kind of told myself like, okay, that part of your life is done. Just go be a normal person. And I'm such an extreme person, I can't be a normal person. So in an attempt to be a normal person, I gained like 150 pounds, already at 350 pounds, got really out of shape, got my life really out of balance, and had to get myself into shape. And in doing so, found that it was laborious until I found fun ways to do it. And the fun ways to do it was obviously constantly varied. I think Greg Glassman nailed it with the constantly varied, and trying new things all the time. I found that like the things that I was good at and I could do easily didn't interest me, like the things that I was bad at and scared the hell out of me. And it took a long time to get to that place where I could really face my fears and be uncomfortable. And by far, the last final horizon is running. If you've ever been a big, huge, you have been a big, huge guy, you know, like I'll do anything besides run. And there was years in CrossFit that it's like, you run or you row. I'm the first guy on the rower. I'll rip the handle off that rower, you know, but I didn't want to run. And so as I've kind of conquered some big ones for me, you mentioned yoga, got into climbing, big time skier, you know, cyclists, like you don't see a lot of mountain bikers my size, pounding up mountains. And as I've kind of conquered those things and become less and less afraid of what's left, there's always been this like skeleton in the closet that's just sitting there going, when are you going to come get me? And I've been like, well, I'm going to come get you. And so for the last 3 years, I went from like 3 years ago, I went from running 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for 45 minutes a day, every day for 6 months, living in California, running on the beach. And it got me just comfortable with the idea of running and not being afraid and working on form and all those things. Then fast forward a year, I spent an entire year doing 45 minutes of zone 2 jogging that started out 15-minute miles in the sand, barely moving my feet, to like 10-minute miles on the hard sand, feeling good and being able to run, you know, multiple distances. That led me to my first half marathon. I'd never run more than 6 miles in my entire life. And that was one time because the car broke down and I was a crazy CrossFitter and I was like, I could run 6 miles. Besides that, I'd say it had to be a 5K. And so go out, run my first half marathon. It goes great. I go out and start training for a marathon and get to the end of the summer, and I'm about a month out from my marathon, and I got a chance to pace our good friend Bobby Ryan in the Leadville 100. He was doing Leadman, and I was pacing him the last 13 miles. So for those who don't know, Leadman is 5 races over the entire summer, a 10K, 100-mile bike, a 50-mile run, a marathon, and a 100-mile run, all in like 2 months. And so he completed them all. He had 20 miles to go. He had 7 miles to get to me. He sits down on the trail. He quits. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He gives up. He calls me to come get him. I lie to him on the phone and say, I'm on my way. I run backwards on the trail 7 miles through the night. And it was honestly not even the experience that happened post that, but those 7 miles of May Queen backwards, watching the faces of people. This is 4 a.m, seeing these people that have been running for 24 hours now in the middle of the night. I have full goosebumps right now, seeing these looks on their faces, one by one by one. By the time I got to Bobby, I was on fire. And I was like, get up, we're finishing this race. I got this map on my watch. It says we got to run. We got to go. Follow my heels. And long story, we finished with like 12 minutes to spare. Bobby becomes a lead man. I'm on fire. I'm a runner now. You know what I mean? I was training for a marathon already. The very next weekend is Burning Man. They have an ultra marathon. I'm running an ultra. So go out, run an ultra. No, like hadn't even tried a marathon yet. So my first marathon was in the ultra at Burning Man. Finish the ultra, go out, run the marathon, have a terrible time on the road marathon, and decide I want to be a trail runner. I want to run the 100. I'm going to do it in 2 years. So started training for that. Last year I ran the Leadville Marathon, which is the hardest marathon in North America. And then I ran the Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim with you. Came up short on that by a few miles at the top because I was sick that day. So this year it's Grand Canyon full rim to rim to rim, marathon again, Leadville 100. Long story, but that's where I'm at.
That's huge. That is a long story. And there's a lot to unpack there. And I want to get to the community aspect in a minute because I was at Leadville last year as well, pacing our friend Mike Adala, and I remember how stoked you were and saving Bobby's ass from just sitting on a rock bonked to getting him back in the race and Bobby becoming a lead man, and that was massive. That was such a fun weekend. But I want to take this back before the fitness, before the yoga. Give people a little backstory. I know you played at Baylor. I know you were obese for a large part of your life. Walk me back to kind of how you got yourself into that position. And then more so, I'm interested in what had to change. What changes did you make to be the man who's sitting in the chair across from me now?
Yeah, great question again. For me, it was looking for love is like a big, if you dig for the root, which has taken me about 30 years of my life to find the root. But the root is I was looking for love and food always loved me. And so as feeling unloved, I could always go to food and it was there. And growing up, I think that was a comfort thing that turned into an addiction. Playing football was a way to hide. It fit in a box. So I could be overweight and just somewhat overweight. I had to fight my weight, but being larger, it was accepted and almost rewarded. And then when I got done playing, I got to a point where I became successful. And ironically, my idea of success was travel and fine dining. And so I would try and eat decadent meals and go to exotic places. And I thought that was like killing it. And I thought I was living this exotic, beautiful life. And I was gaining a pound a month for 10 years. And I was already fighting the weight when I got done playing football. So I got done playing at 350. For 10 years, I gained a pound a month. You do the math, that ends up being about, I think I saw 512 pounds was the heaviest I've ever saw on a scale, but it took me 4 months to find a scale that weighed over 500 pounds while I was losing weight to even get on a scale. So yeah, man, the shift was honestly like learning how to cook, but the root of learning how to cook is self-love. Everything comes from self-love. You're not going to fix this problem until you get pissed off about it and until you start loving yourself. And no one who's that obese truly loves themselves. You can't. You think you can try and play games with yourself, but if you sit there in the mirror all by yourself, alone, I'm miserable with who I am.
Yeah, but was it internal or external as far as the motivation? Was it disgust? Was it what became too big of a burden to bear?
Yeah.
To where you could no longer accept it and it's like, I have to change today,
yeah.
Or consequences?
It was a blend. Funny enough, I never had a doctor be like, hey, you're going to die. I had never had a friend come up to me and be like, what are you doing? You're killing yourself. Like, I was quite the opposite. I was like doing 14ers and skiing at 500 pounds. Like, it took a long time and it hurt really, really bad. And I was slow as shit, but I kind of just moved through life at a different speed. And for me, it was a couple things. One, as dumb as it sounds, it's like this dirty closet that you've had for like a decade. You just need to throw all this shit out and get to it. And I'm such a type A person that I know once I clean out that closet, I'm going to never be able to not have it completely organized again because I'm too OCD. And that's where I was putting off the weight loss. I knew I was getting big. I knew things were happening. And a couple things happened around me. A bunch of big lineman guys I was friends with lost a bunch of weight, and I lost my fraternity of big boys. All of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, I don't want to be the only one here that's, belly hanging over his belt. And so that happened. And then some externals or internal, I guess, my body started to hurt really bad. Started having really bad lower back problems from carrying that gut around and sleeping. I couldn't get comfortable sleeping, and every morning I'd wake up in so much back pain. And then the last piece, and this is such a boring but monumental thing, is I was burnt out on eating cheat meals. I had a friend who got gastric bypass surgery, and when he did, he had to do a psychological test beforehand. And they asked him a question: how many cheat meals do you have a week? And he's like, what do you consider a cheat meal? And they, like, order whatever you want, don't think about calories. He's like, 21 to 28. And that's exactly where I was. I was eating 3 to 4 meals a day of as much food as I could consume to fill my heart's desire. And so just understanding that and making that change of, like, it was almost like I was training to be that overweight. So as soon as I made a change, things started to shift and happen. And when I did that and kind of understood how to cook for myself and learned a little bit, tiniest bit about nutrition, it just changed. And then obviously what opened the floodgates is community, friends, having fun doing fitness, not being forced to work out. But that's a long road you got to get to when you're really out of shape.
Yeah. So how long can you put off? Because I've never been 500 pounds, and a lot of people haven't. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are going, and there are probably people, maybe they're listening to this podcast, maybe they're not, who are going in that direction. How long can you go trying to unknow you're over 500 pounds?
Yeah.
And trying to shove that back down, and what mental gymnastics did you have to go through to justify that ultimately? And what I want to get to is what the turning point was. Like, what was the first step you made? You talked about cooking.
Yeah.
Right. What was the spark? Were you watching, was it Julia Child? Like, were you watching a cooking show, or what was the level where you accepted responsibility now for the things you take from your hand and put into your mouth?
Yeah. So the first question, it's weird. One thing that I can't unsee now is really, really obese people. And I just want to go hug them when I see them out in public. And it just like hurts my heart because I know exactly what they're going through. One of my favorite stories is I'd go see a lot of shows at Red Rocks when I was that big. And I would be afraid to get up and go pee during the show because of the looks on people's faces when they would see me coming. Be like, because they were.
And how tall? Tell the people how tall you are.
I'm 6'5".
Yeah, you're not a set of fucking car keys.
Yeah. I'm a big guy, but 6'5", 500.
280, you look great.
Yeah, thank you.
You're still a towering human being.
Yeah, I'm a big, massive person, and I'd probably still get some of those reactions now. But then it was like seeing a circus freak, and I knew it. And so, unknowing there's a difference between the whole time, but you deny it. And then my biggest, I thought that airplanes were getting smaller. I thought that cars were getting smaller. You can live in that much denial. And then the breaking point for me, ironically, was I was eating a meal from Qdoba, and my normal Qdoba dinner was a steak burrito with extra steak, a chicken quesadilla, chips and queso on the burrito, guac on the burrito, and a guac for dipping, and a massive soda. And that was just like, that was dinner. That wasn't a special occasion. That wasn't, I just ran 25 miles.
Candles, set the ambiance.
Yeah. Like I probably had
$50 a kilo.
Yeah, I probably had that for lunch and for breakfast also, and was going to eat that night. And I was so burnt out on it, and I was like, man, does pizza sound good? No. Does donuts sound good? I burnt myself out on every bad food because I was in this spiral of eating so bad. It was at my biggest I've ever been. And so I was like, maybe I should try vegetables. Maybe that would taste good. I couldn't think of anything that would taste good. And I went to Whole Foods website because at that point I was so in the dust that like Whole Foods is where healthy people eat, I thought. I didn't realize they have cookies there, and I do now. So I clicked on the website, and on the top right corner, I'll never forget, there was a link that said Eat Right, now. And I was like, that's me. I want to eat right. So I clicked on it, and it popped up this the aggregate nutritional density index. It's a big fancy word. It's a scale, that Andy scale is what it's called, and it rates food 1 to 1,000. And a 1 is a Coca-Cola, and 1,000 is rainbow chard. And like the top, anything over 800 is going to be like bok choy, kale, collard greens, like big, thick, heavy, dense vegetables. And basically what that is it's how much nutritional density is in one bite of food. And that's why if you try and eat chard and kale, it's so hard to eat because it's so packed nutritionally dense. And for me, that was a big breakthrough because I was so afraid of having food taken away. When you're addicted to food, you can feed me horse slop. As long as I'm getting food, I'm not so scared. And so I made a deal with myself that I was going to learn how to cook these things, and I was going to eat only on the left side of the list for half of my plate. And I could eat a truckload of it. And when I heard the truckload thing, it was like this psychological, like, Okay, I'm safe. I can eat a truckload. It's just going to have to be this stuff. And then I started learning how to prepare it. I bought a bamboo cutting board and a Japanese steel knife, and that was amazing. To this day, I credit a lot of my health to my love for cooking. And anyone who knows me now, I'm like the chef guy. Yeah. I love being in charge of the food. And I think a lot of being in charge of the food is the psychological safety that I'm going to eat healthy, that I'm going to get enough, that I'm going to not, blow it, or somebody's not going to put a bunch of butter or oil in my food. And so that kind of was the big, huge shift for me right then. It's obviously been a journey of a million ups and downs since then, but that was the catalyst that started it.
So you burn yourself out, you burn your palate out, or there's potentially something inside you that's saying, we can't do this anymore, nothing's appetizing, and we can't unknow this. So you go to the Whole Foods site, you click the thing, you get some bok choy, cutting board, steel knife. Okay, that deals with the nutrition side. Where does the movement come in? So what are the next steps after, okay, I'm going to start controlling and taking responsibility for what I'm eating? Now what are the first steps? What does it look like to moving your body as a 500 plus pound athlete?
Yeah, so I started going. The first step was, thank God for dogs. I've had dogs, and I lived up in the mountains in Conifer, and there was this trail called Maxwell Falls. It's probably a 5K, maybe a little short. It's probably got 900 feet of vert in it, up and down. And I would go walk it every single day with my dogs. And when I started doing it, it would take me 2.5 hours. I'd have to stop every probably half mile and sit down. I'm a very big quantifiable guy, so times, paces always have been a big deal for me. So I started racing my times. And first I wasn't racing my times. I was racing, can I do it without stopping? Can I do it without sitting down? And those were these monumental steps. Then I bought the scale that weighed over 500 pounds. Then I saw 512, and I don't know, I'm going to cuss real quickly on here. I don't like to cuss a lot on podcasts. But I started walking every single step saying, fuck you, 512. Every single step. And I would just, my legs hurt so bad. I was sore for 9 months, my legs were. Like they just had so much weight they were carrying, and I was walking up and down hills for the first time, like aggressively, consistently, not just like once a year hitting a 14er. And I would just mantra in my head, fuck you, 512, fuck you, 512. And the cool thing is when you're that overweight and you had been training that much to be that fat, it's so cool how much weight you get to. I got to lose like 100 pounds in 3 months. You know what I mean? Like it just started falling off me. Now, was that a body transformation? No, it was just a loss of fat, which is a great start. But I think that's where I try to separate myself is like, I don't want to be a weight loss story. I want to be an unbreakable human being. And so that started the process though. Got down to 325, hiking and chopping vegetables. Thought I was like fighting weight, thought I was ready to go, super soft 325. And then I work in cannabis. Cannabis got legalized recreationally in 2014, and my life changed, and I started going all over the world and doing all this cool stuff. And I got back up to almost 400 pounds again. And that's when I found CrossFit. And that's when I found the secret sauce, which is community and the fun of fitness, where I stopped working out to lose weight and I started training with my homies. And this is the result.
Yeah. And, even going back to the running where I wanted to talk about community and explore how much of discipline's actually social. So I've heard you mention before that community kind of equals consistency.
Yeah.
And what did that look like for you? Who did you have to leave behind, right? Because a big part of change is what you're leaving behind. It's the unfortunate part of any story.
Yeah.
So you're leaving behind one community who knows Mr. Good Time, 500 pounds, Matt Bickel going to Red Rocks and doing all this really fun stuff. And now you're eating bok choy and fucking hiking mountains. And now you're finding yourself in this fitness community. Was the fitness community welcoming to you? Like, what did that look like? And then how much of a role has community played, and how important has it become along this journey?
Yeah, so great questions again. I was living in the mountains, hiking and chopping vegetables, and I was losing momentum. That's when I started creeping back up to 400 pounds. I couldn't do it alone. I was going to the gym and down in Conifer, the 24-hour fitness or whatever little hole-in-the-wall place, and I was losing my momentum, and I had a fire in me for about a year and a half, and I typically have the fire, and it definitely was fading on me. And so I knew I needed something. I saw Rich Froning win his last games on TV on ESPN on on a day where I was sitting there eating pizza, feeling super fat, knowing I was almost 400 pounds again. And I was moving back to the city from the mountains, and I was doing it for community. I was like, I think the community is the thing I'm missing. Like, I think I need to be around people. And so between Froning and needing community, I was at this deli in the mountains, and I was moving to Lodo, and I saw a guy walk into the deli wearing a hat that said CrossFit Lodo. And I thought, I'll go to that place. That's got to be right in Lodo. And so looked it up, went there. First time I walked in the door, they were doing a free class on Saturdays, and they were doing burpees. And after the third one, I was like, when are they going to stop? Like, this isn't healthy. You know, just like seeing people get on and off the ground 3 times was that scary to me. That's how unhealthy and like where my mind was. And I did like a personal training class, and the head coach was smart enough to have me do a rower and squats. I could squat a lot of weight my whole life, and a rower, if you're 300 or 400 pounds, you can pull the hell out of a rower, you know? So got some little win there and just jumped into the classes. And it's funny, I went to the right gym. I went to a gym where, no knock on Lodo, but no one's going to the games from Lodo. No one's probably barely a few people are doing local competitions. And it was like a barrier of entry that wasn't scaring if I'd have went to Sanitas or something like that, they'd have scared me right out the door. And it's funny because at first I wanted so badly to be cool CrossFit guy that those guys were all really rude to me. But the normal general population was awesome to me. And so there was a 78-year-old woman named Judy that had just retired from her job, that my goal was to beat Judy every day when I started doing CrossFit. And I started getting Judy. And then it was like this guy, Sean, that was one of the fitter guys of like the general pop. And then I was trying to beat the coaches. And then that led me to like, well, can I go and do local competitions? And then can I find games athletes to train with? And literally have worked my way to where, like yourself, I get to train with the fittest people in the world, like finding you. And that's through my passion and love for community and fitness. The community piece like really took off when I got hungry for more and more. And I finally figured out that CrossFit wasn't a class at noon on Monday through Friday, that CrossFit was a lifestyle. And like I would travel and go to CrossFit gyms and do drop-ins and then see the same people from the gym like on the hike in Alaska. And it started to correlate like, oh, this isn't a class, this isn't fitness, this is life. And I started incorporating my daily life around it and then attracting all these people. And now I'm surrounded in this place. I literally live in like the most safe bubble in the world if you want to be fit as shit, because everywhere I go, everyone's about their goals. Everyone's challenging themselves to the point of the 100. Why the 100? Now we're getting to it because it's been normalized. Because everybody I know did it. Because it's like all of a sudden you ran a marathon. Way to go, bro. Run 4 in a row. You know what I mean? Like, and like to your question earlier, you're doing Leadman or a marathon or the 100? No, just the 100. I'm not doing the 4 races. Like, what in the world? That's normal? And it is. Like, it's so cool that we've created that world because we've raised the bar so high that I don't have to keep the fire lit. And I'm going to fall off. I'm going to go through 6 months periods where I'm not the guy leading the way and the charge of like being on top of it. But I got people like you and 100 others around me that are never going to let me fall too far. And then as soon as this fire gets lit again, here you are, you know, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So the identity shift of you walking into Lodo and competing with Judy because everybody else looks super scary. And now you have friends like Chandler Smith, Matt Frazier, you know, Hinman. You have all these incredibly fit people who've been doing this for a long time. Is it a level of where did that confidence come from as far as being intimidated day one?
Yeah.
Like, do I belong here? Do I deserve to be fit? Do I deserve to be around these people? What does their performance say about me? Versus now, you are the metaphorical 76-year-old Judy who's inspiring people. Now you're driving people into fitness. So what had to change for your perspective of how you see yourself versus belonging with this group of fit people?
Yeah.
Like, what has that done for you from a confidence perspective or identity perspective?
Funny you say that. I think what changed is I realized that through this process, I realized that I have a gift. That like Sam Dancer has told me a million times that if I was 5'9", 195, I'd have won the game 6 times in a row too. Like, and I'm not saying that arrogantly. Like, my gift is my joy and my love for the process. And anyone who knows me or is around me knows that like I don't cut corners. I love to work hard and I love pushing everybody everywhere I go. And a joy comes out of me when I'm doing that and an access to flow state that makes it to where I belong in any room in the world when there's people doing the things that I'm aligned with. Yeah. And I've learned that through career stuff, through social settings, and through fitness. But I'm a damn good version of myself in a fitness setting where a lot of people are intimidated, especially around a Matt Frazier or a Chandler Smith. And I just tear down the walls for everyone with the way I train, the way I interact, and the fun that I'm having, and the fun that I cause everyone else to have. And it's such a gift that I realize, like, if you let me in the room when we're training, you're probably going to walk away going, I would like to train with that guy again. And if you can create that atmosphere, you can go anywhere with this sport or in life in general. Sure. It's just finding the things that give you the access to feel that way.
Yeah. Again, going back to the contradiction of balancing all of these different, I like to call them, it's like your portfolio of enthusiasms. That's what mine is. It's a little bit of everything, right? And we'll get into the why not one thing here shortly. But what does fitness mean to you as a method of freedom and personal and physical expression? Like, you have to do some level of footwork to be able to train for a 100-mile race that's entirely above 10,000 feet altitude. So I want to speak to the gift of now being in a position where you're fit enough to do this. Right? Where a lot of people, they need that 10 or 15 year run up to even be able to train for something like this. So what does fitness mean to you in regards to freedom of expression?
Man, you almost nailed my answer. Fitness is freedom and health is wealth. And like the richest people in the world that don't have their health are the poorest people in the world. This body is a fleeting thing. It's got an hourglass that the sand is falling through fast. And the only way, you can't stop it, but you can slow it down. And ultimately, you ask anyone laying on their deathbed, what do they wish for? They wish to get off their deathbed. I'm sprinting from the deathbed. And I'm doing it in a way that I'm also aging as gracefully as possible, putting deposits in the bank account on a daily basis to where I am going to be hopefully one of the richest men in the world at 90 years old, still doing the things I'm doing today. And you have to get older. You have to age. You don't have to get older. Like, I'm 45 years old, and so funny, some guy left a really mean, hurtful comment on my Instagram the other day. I thought I looked jacked, but I was wearing like Nike running shorts, and he's like, not everyone should wear that. And I was like, hey man, like F off, like this is my body and I'm proud of it. And he's like, you're 45 doing high rocks. And I was like, dang, I am 40. Or he said, you're pushing 50 doing high rocks. And I was like, yeah, I am pushing 50 doing high rocks. Like, awesome. I don't see that in my head and in everyone's head. We're 20-year-old kids. We're insecure 10-year-olds and they're conscious. Our bodies and our minds are these 20-year-old things that are like, man, I can't believe I'm 45 years old. And we're all just like terrified and deer in headlights of the fact that we're going to be 90 one day. I think what's funny is everyone wants to hide from that. There's like, and that'll happen eventually. It's like, no, you can take this into your own hands and you can make yourself, my biggest aha moment ever. I got super into CrossFit. It was all about weight loss. I was finding community. I got invited to go to the CrossFit Games. I went, and as I was walking up, the masters were finishing the swim run. So they were all in their swimsuits, and these were all people from 35 to 70. And I saw their bodies, and the light bulb came on. I was like, oh, I don't need to snatch 300 pounds. I don't need to go to the CrossFit Games. All I need to do is look like that when I'm 80 years old, and I'm fine. Like that means that like life doesn't end at 60 or 70 or whatever. Life ends when the lights go out, but you can go out kicking and screaming and having a blast. So that's my why, and that's why, like, basically, if I can push the limits as far as I can now, if I'm running 100 miles at 45, I should be cruising at 60, you know?
Yeah, I've gone to a number of masterminds recently where everybody writes down, there are 15 to 20 things that they want, and it's all wealth related, and I want the house, and I want the perfect morning. And then I just go up there, whatever keynote speech I had planned, I'm like, none of you said physical health. None of you said joy. And the fastest way to lose all those things is to have one health problem. Mm-hmm. And you're starting to see it a lot more where you have 1,000 problems until you have a serious health problem, and then you have one problem. And anybody who's been through that is already very well aware of that.
Yeah.
So
You have a 6,000 square foot house and you can't get upstairs.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't sit down on your toilet. So you live in a nursing home while your 6,000 square foot house.
Or you're the guy on social media that only has the energy to sit there and criticize people and sit in the fucking comment section.
Yeah.
While you're wiping fucking flaming hot Cheetos on your shirt so you don't get it on your fucking phone.
Yeah.
Fuck those people. Straight up, I'll cuss on a podcast. There's no room for that.
And the other piece of that I don't want to miss is fitness is freedom. And that's the other piece. You're like, you live a life, Beau, where you're going to do Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim back-to-back weekends. And you're not going to do a 9-month training block for it. You stay ready. And I learned that early about you. And like, you've been, you know, you're a competitive CrossFit Games athlete. You're a freaking strongman savage. You're an ultra runner. And sitting back and observing like the guys that can do everything, that's what people are jealous about. People at my age, I'm not jealous of a 300-pound snatch. I'm jealous of a guy that can run 50 miles and can, you know, lift their body weight in every single lift. Like, that's so impressive to me. And so you have the freedom of anytime someone asks you to do something, yeah, I'll go do it, you know? And like, most people are bound to their abilities and they're bound to their fitness. Fitness is a weird word, but their body preparation. And a great example is I hadn't ridden my bike in 5 months and did 4 bike rides and rode 100 miles the other day. And I'd never ridden 100 miles before in my life. I'd only ridden 60. And like, it was fine. Like, it's when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And that's a freedom that, if you don't know it, you should give yourself the opportunity to try, because it's pretty freaking cool, you know?
If you keep a sharp axe, it's ready when you need it.
Yep.
That's the point.
Yep.
And then one of my overarching themes I talk about with a lot of our guys, like that shit sandwich, that health problem, like there's always another wave coming, and whether it's mental, physical, emotional, like the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is take great care of yourself. So that when other people are down, when the health problems come, when the relationship, when any of that comes, like the more prepared you are, that fitness is a buffer.
Yeah.
To absorb life's bullshit. For the shit sandwich, it's all coming that we're going to have to take a bite of.
Yeah.
Fitness, to me, acts as that buffer, right? It's that level of resilience. You'd mentioned that the 100 doesn't seem viable yet. Like, you can't imagine you finishing the 100 yet being the objective term there. Walk me through that.
Yeah,
Where
for
are
sure.
you at with that right now?
So this is the first time of anything. Like, sometimes I do something and I'm like, I don't know if I can do it or not. I should go try. And sometimes I'm like, I can absolutely do something. This is the first one that I absolutely know that I have zero chance unless I max out the next 198 days. Like, I have zero chance. Like, if I took what I've got today or tomorrow or even the next 175 days, I won't have it. But I know that if I give every single thing in my body what I can, and that's recovery, that's nutrition, that's stress, that's focus, that there is a chance. But the only way is by absolutely maxing everything out. So I tell everyone, I don't know now. I think I'll know before I go to the starting line. I truly do. But it's going to take everything in me. And, you know, like I said, I'm down 45 pounds. I'm trying to lose another 30. Like, this is going to be a total life transformation. And the cool part about that is, let's talk about falling on my face. Let's talk about the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is the first time cutoff is at May Queen. It's 13 miles out. Let's say that I show up to May Queen. In the next 198 days, I wear it out and I bring the fittest version of my mind, body, and soul ever to that starting line. And I jog 11, 12 and a half miles and fall on my face and get capped. It's a pretty fucking cool story. Yeah. I walk away the fittest I've ever been in my life. I walk away 50, 60 pounds lighter than I've ever been. I stepped to the scariest thing ever and took a huge swing. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. I think I'm known for having a day on days when I need to have a day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I somehow, some way, and we'll know a lot more before then. But again, if I can be proud of the effort of the next 198 days, I don't give a shit what happens on race day. Yeah,
I like the notion of calibrating consequence and what real consequence is. And when I had a similar story with the Bahamas to Florida prone paddle that I did, but looking at what real consequences are. Worst case scenario for Leadville, you bring the fittest Matt Bickel out there, you get time capped, and then you walk off the course to a bunch of people who love you and are proud of you. Like that's literally, unless you're mauled by a mountain lion, unless the caldera at Yellowstone burst that day and we're all burned up.
Yeah.
Those aren't consequences. That's a story.
Yep.
And there are real people out there that have real consequences, right? And so how, like managing that in your head, I know I went through a similar scenario with the prone paddle. So I actually called a really good friend of mine. And I'm like, dude, and I know the inner story was, I don't know if I can finish this and I'm going to look bad and people are going to think X about me. But in reality, the worst case scenario, unless I get bit by a shark or something like that, is I just get on the fucking boat and then I cheer on all my other friends who are doing the rad thing. Mm-hmm. So these aren't real, all these consequences live up here.
Yeah.
In reality, worst case scenario, you have an awesome day watching everybody else fucking crush. If that's as bad as your day gets, I think you probably still have it better than a lot of human beings on the planet, right? So I'm really glad we got to that. Are you proving something or are you discovering something?
I'm discovering. Yeah, there's...
you sure? What are you discovering?
The reason I can say that is because there's two people in my head that are the yin and yang of ultras, and it's David Goggins and Chris Roglowski. And Courtney DeWalter, she kind of falls into that side too. And it's, do you run because you're trying not to be a pussy because you need to be tougher, you need to figure out who you are? Or are you running because I got legs that work? God gave me a heart that beats. I got blood that pumps through my body in some scientific way that I'll never be able to explain. And this is not a sure thing tomorrow. So I'm going to go out and celebrate the shit out of these legs. I'm going to celebrate these lungs. I'm going to celebrate this creation that God made that is mind-blowing to me, these mountains. And the fact that I can go challenge myself in those places and discover how bad can I want something? How bad can I dig deep for something? And how much am I willing to suffer for something? I love that. That gave me goosebumps again, head to toe. Like, I'm like, and to be able to do it, like, if you told me I had to do 100 miles on the treadmill, I'd be like, F off, dude. But you put me in freaking Leadville, Colorado. Anyone who doesn't know, Leadville is as beautiful, if not more, than most of the towns in Colorado. It's just not as popularized because it's above 10,000 feet and people can't sleep up there. And it's a little methy from the mines still. But having said that, like just the pure beauty of it alone, I'm going to get to spend 30 hours with my friends out in the woods looking at the most beautiful creation on earth. Like, it sounds like a pretty good time to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. You alluded to this briefly. You said Leadville's 198 days out.
Yeah.
What story are you going to be telling yourself in 199 days? What does that story look like?
The story is, I'm not going to say the hay's in the barn because I love making fun of people that say the hay's in the barn. The story I'm going to tell myself is, like, I'm not going to say you better be. I'm going to be damn proud of what I did the last 198 days. Yeah. I didn't even realize, I posted it on my Instagram, and we can probably get a graphic of it up on the podcast. The day I got accepted, the day I found out I could do it, I was not in my best shape. And I didn't know that even. And I was like brushing my teeth and I got the email and I walked over to my mirror and I took a photo. And I was like, what are you going to do? Like, you're on your own now. You just put yourself into the storm. Like, you were in the crosshairs of the scariest thing you've ever done in your life. So the next morning I woke up, and for 83 days, I didn't know it was 83 days, but for 83 days, I started grinding. I mean, I started going after it. I didn't have a coach, didn't have programming. I was like, how much can I do between now and then? You were helping me. I was just doing everything I could. And the other night, I was like, man, I think I was wearing these same shorts when I took that photo. I'll bet I look a lot different. And I walked over and I took a photo of 83 days later, and I didn't know it. I had to go back and look it up and see how many days it was. And I put them next to each other, and I was like, I mean, I lost an entire gut in 83 days that I didn't even know I had on me. You know, it's funny how you can hide from your body and your eyes. And so now my next thing is like, I can do 83 days 3 more times almost. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what's capable in 83 days, and those were the worst 83 days, I can't wait to see what the next 83 days, and I benchmarked it on my calendar to take a picture every 83 days. And so all I'm focused on right now is these next 83 days. I think that the goal is to get the body weight down to like 250, and then to have that happen by the time that there's every trail in Leadville is runnable. And then 2 to 3 days a week, tons of volume of running, uphill and downhill, pounding the hell out of the body, just getting it durable and strong, and worrying about getting faster when I'm lighter.
I have, whenever I come back from any of the things that I do, I always get a slew of questions, and I'll support people up until the point. And then at some point, I'm like, dude, to find out anything else, you need to sign up.
Yeah.
Like if you say yes first, you'll figure everything out.
Yep.
Figure out how second. So along those lines, what changed mentally between, oh, I think I can do this thing, to actually sweaty palms, getting on your computer, your phone, signing up for it, and then finding you got in? What chip do you wake up with on your shoulder now that you didn't wake up with when you, even if you see this as a blessing, I don't mean chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
But once you actually commit to the thing, what changes? When you get the email said, guess what, I know you're in the middle of brushing your teeth, but you have 200 and something days and you're going to be on the course in the arena.
Yeah.
What changes the moment you commit to something like that? Specifically one that you're not even sure you're capable of.
Yeah.
What changes in your perspective of how you deal with fitness, health, and the world?
So it's very similar to the 500 pounds to 280 pounds. When you're 500 pounds and you want to be 280 pounds, my analogy is like looking through the keyhole in the door, and that's all you can see is just this sliver of light through the keyhole. And somehow you've got to get your body through the keyhole, and it's this big, and you're 500 pounds. And like, it's the most impossible seeming thing in the world, where it's like, most people are like, you can't fit your body through that keyhole. It's this big of a keyhole. I'm 500 pounds. And I know for a fact I can get through the keyhole. I've been through the keyhole numerous times, unfortunately. It's one of those things where if you're ever, and that kind of leads to the second part of this, which is, it's been, 5-6 years ago, I had like, you could see a 6-pack. I was shredded. I was the strongest guy in the gym. I had a whole different identity. And after that shifted, and I lost a lot of that because of injury and because of just stupidity and can't do it, and I'm 45 years old now, I needed something to light a fire. I have the fire, but I needed some gas for the fire. And there's no gas for the fire like doing the most terrifying thing that most people will ever put on a calendar.
Yeah, that's huge, man.
So the fire got lit.
Where can people find you? How can people watch this journey?
Yeah, my Instagram, Bickelco, Bickelco. I'm trying to talk to some brands, talk to some people, and see if we can't get a little bit more of the long version stuff out there. But I just started working with an agency that's 1441 Collective, our good friends Brad Sieber and Nick Walker, and those guys are going to start helping me really get the story out. And I'm trying to be better about sharing it, because I'm realizing like I'm kind of in uncharted waters right now. And that's what, talking to Ryan McGuire, my coach, he's like, how do you, if you're 180 pounds, or 130 pounds, ran high school cross country, I can write a program for you to finish Leadville in 30 hours. We're all in something brand new here. And I do want to not miss out on, what if I run to May Queen and get time capped and cheer on my friends? Yeah. What if I finish this thing, bro? Exactly. What if I come in at 29:30? I could change my whole life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, this could be something where like never been done before. I'm the first one, and I love being the first one. I love the risk of failing, because there's a huge reward if I finish this. Like, I'm all of a sudden the face of plus size running. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I can do this, and that motivates me so much. That motivates me to want to go run right now. Like, I think that if I can remember that part, like, the doubts will be there, but we can quiet them down a whole lot by thinking of all the good stuff that can happen from this. And it's already happening from this. I have Speedland pick me up, Nordic Track pick me up. I've got 2 different treadmills being shipped to me. People are hearing this story and want to support and help. And for the longest time, I ran the marathon last year, and I didn't invite a single person to come because I was so afraid of getting time capped. And then when I beat the time cap, I went across the finish line by myself and was like, You know what I mean? Like for Leadville, I'm invited everyone I know. I'm having people fly out. We got a 12-bedroom house in Twin Lakes. Like I am bringing, if I fail, I'm failing in front of the world. And that's why I want to show this story. That's why I want to document it, because every time I do, I write another check with my mouth that my ass has got to go cash.
Yeah.
And that was the signing up, was like speaking things into existence. I think there's a big difference between being, you could say I'm a liar, saying I'm going to go run Leadville 100. It's like, no, you're not. Or you could say I'm speaking things into existence. It's the exact same mindset, whether the class is half full or half empty. And I've always been a half full guy. So I speak it into existence. I force myself to be a man of my word. I'm not a man of my word. So if I say something, that means now I've written a contract to myself that I have got to fulfill, and I'm trying with everything in my power to fulfill this contract.
What's the final piece of advice you would have for anybody who's maybe in your shoes, whether it's 300 or 500 pounds? What advice do you have for those people to feeling hopeless or nothing's worked for them? Like what is, I mean, you can speak directly to them, like what is something you want to leave, and how are you using this story as a way to inspire and impact others?
So I would say the best piece of advice I have is, well, one is a simple one. It's drink water, don't drink calories. Like that'll change your whole life. But simplifying that is find joy, search for joy, not for fitness. That requires body movement. Search for body movement that brings joy, that's not fitness, that's not working out. Working out, the first word is working. And I think that's like I don't know that I've worked. I mean, I work out sometimes because yes, it's work sometimes, but the majority of the time, like today, I had a blast training with you. You know what I mean? Like it was fun. We were chatting, catching up. Like when you get better at stuff, it doesn't hurt so bad. And like if you have to go try 50 or 60 sports, something is fun to you. If it's pickleball, if it's tennis, if it's walking, like, and finding that thing. And then I would say diversification. Like if you know, everybody burns themselves out by finding something they like and then just beating it to death. And like the thing that me and you do so well is I've done so many activities with you in a pool, on a bike, on a trail, in a gym. Like, and if you've got those in your tool bag, you're just going to find yourself having more fun and not being a burden of fitness. If you're overweight, you have a burden to lose weight. You don't have to lose weight through burden. You can lose weight through fun. And that's the biggest thing that, like, there was a time when I stopped stepping on the scale. I stopped taking pictures in the mirror. I stopped worrying about that shit because, you know, do I look my best or not? I don't know, but I feel my best and I move my best. Those are the things I'm judging it on. When I'm in yoga, if I can do bicycle sit-ups and touch my elbow to my knee really good, I know I'm in shape. Yeah. If I have a hard time getting up there, I know there's some shit getting in the way, you know? There's these little indicators that like, oh yeah, I need to get in better shape, but I'm never like waking up with the burden of losing weight, of being obese. And even though I'm still technically overweight, you know what I mean? Like probably will be considered that my whole life. So
I think that just culminates in the game isn't to get in shape, the game is to stay in shape. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Matt Bickel, appreciate the time. Man.
Hey, appreciate it. Love you, dude.
Love you, dude.
Yeah.